and business income last week. So continue. Today I will continue with business deductions. But for your information, I have scheduled for you two or three. Three lah kot. Alright, so you're going to have a quiz later after class. I set it at 10 o'clock in the morning, so that will be in our Google Classroom. And also personal relief and business taxation tutorial, but that one due tomorrow. Your quiz due after class lah, at 12. I said until 12. So later at 10 you can start. But for today, I'm going to continue with business deductions, and then I'm going to introduce to you a little bit on capital allowance, and we will continue capital allowance next week. So we will take 2+ weeks lah, to complete the business taxation topic, because it is quite long. Okay, so let's look at the notes, and I have shared a lot of materials in your My Guru. So again, for your information, all the learning materials will still be in My Guru, and your assignment also have to be submitted through My Guru. It's just that the assessment will be conducted using Google Classroom, which means the quizzes, and if I think just quizzes lah, and maybe later our final assessment also will be conducted through Google Classroom. Okay, so you still have to log in your My Guru for your attendance to class and also the learning materials. So under this topic, I have shared with you a few materials. So you have the business income notes, business deductions notes. I have shared with you the table for the double deductions, because we're going to look at double deductions later, and also public rulings on entertainment expenses. Okay, I hope that will help you, especially in doing your tutorial question on business taxation later. So pardon me, bulan-bulan puasa ni suara pun tak apa nak keluar. Anyway, alright, so let's look at business deductions, because we have not completed our calculation, and because we have only looked at business income, and then we have to look at the business deductions in order for us to arrive at adjusted income. So like what we have done last week, we only look at gross income for the business income, so no deductions yet. So for this week, we're going to look at the different types of business deductions for business, and this is only for business, not for individual. All right, so why do we need a business deduction? This is actually to help us compute the adjusted income for business. So we have looked at the definition last week. Any revenue receipt arising from a business shall be classified under section 4A. Okay, so as I told you before, for this topic, we are going to look at, we did look at section 4B until 4F, and then we come back to section 4A, which is business income, right? So we have covered all the non-business income types. So these are the examples of gross income from business. So it can be all cash debts arising in the course of carrying on the business. Non-refundable advance receipts. All right, remember the refundable receipts are not taxable, just like what we did with rental income. So when we have a refundable deposit, it is not considered as income, because we have to refund it back to the tenant. Dividend income from a share dealing business. Bad debts written off in previous year, which was subsequently recovered, which means in the accounts, in the financial statement, you have already write off the bad debts. But in the future years, the bad debt is recovered. So when the bad debt recovered is considered as also as gross income. And interest income of banks, financial institution or money lender. So 1, 2 ni sama dengan non-business income lah. It can be dividend and also interest. Okay. Alright, this is the basic format for our business income. So we will start with net profit before tax. So this will be our gross income. And also the adjustment. So today kita nak tengok yang ni lah, the non-deductible and non-allowable expenses. Okay, so we have two types. One, non-deductible, the one that you cannot deduct. And also the non-allowable expenses. Expenses they are not allowed to arrive at adjusted income. Okay, so basically we have gross income, adjusted income, statutory income, and also aggregate income. Alright, so the principles of deduction, you cannot simply deduct the expenses related to the business. So first of all, the capital receipts are not taxable and the capital expenditure are not deductible. Okay. So for example, if the company has investment in shares, so when they have dividend, dividend is taxable, but when they sell the shares and they have the capital gain, it is not taxable. And also for capital expenditure, just like rental income, when you renovate a place, so the renovation cost is not deductible, we can only deduct repairs, maintenance, assessment, quick rents, fire insurance, and agents fees. And for expenditure to qualify for deduction, it must be related to the business lah. You cannot deduct expenses that is not related to the business. And the expenditure must be incurred in the period which the income is brought to charge. So for instance, we are calculating business income for year 2021 and you must incur the expenses in year 2021. Let's say the expenses incurred in year 2020. You cannot bring forward the expenses to be deducted in year 2021. Sama macam like what we did with a non-business income juga, whatever received this year will be taxed this year. Okay. So under principles of deductions, we have a few sections. First of all, we have allowable deductions. So these are the deductions that are allowed to be deducted from the business income, wholly and exclusively incurred in the production of gross income. We also have section 39, disallowable expenditure. This one not allowed. So section 33 yang dibenarkan, section 39 yang not allowed. We also have specific provisions to allow a deduction under specific situations. So which are interest, rent, repairs, renewals, and also specific business deductions under section 34 and 35. So basically, the general allowable and disallowable expenditures ni under section 33 and 39. Alright, what are the characters of revenue and capital expenditure? Okay, so we have to look at whether it is a lump sum payment, the magnitude of the expenditure, which means how much is the expenditure, and also the accounting treatment. So we have 5 tests here to be conducted to determine whether it is a revenue or capital expenditure. So if revenue expenditure, it is deductible. If capital expenditure, then tak boleh tolak. Okay, deduction provision, this is under section 33. Panjanglah ayat dia. So yang the one highlighted ni important, all outgoing expenses wholly and exclusively incurred during that period by the person in the production of gross income from that source. Let's say the person has 2 business, satu restaurant, satu car wash. So the expenses incurred untuk car wash, dia kena tolak dekat car wash je. Tak boleh expenses incurred dekat car wash pergi tolak dekat restaurant. So mesti according to the different types of business tu. Alright, deductions prohibited. Ini memang tak boleh deduct. For example, domestic and private expenses. Of course lah, cannot lah kan, because you have, this is about business deductions. Expenditure not wholly incurred in the production. Contribution to a non-approved scheme. This is also applicable to non-business income. If the contribution or donation made to non-approved institution, kita tak boleh tolak. Qualifying mining, prospecting and agricultural expenditure. Okay, ini bukan di bawah deductions. This will be under capital allowance nanti. And also entertainment expenses. Entertainment expenses ni special sikit because we have public rulings on that, on the entertainment expenses. So the different types of entertainment expenses ni nanti later you boleh tengok dalam the notes that I share with you in my guru. So dia ada macam-macam jenis expenses. Maybe if we have time kita go through sikit nanti. Alright, next. So this is the specific deductions about interest expense, income, and also rent, repairs, and also renewal. So these are the list of deductions under section 34 and 35. So basically bad debts, EPF or employees contribution to approved scheme of fund. Banyaklah dekat sini. Translation and national language publication, provision of library facilities, community welfare, childcare facilities, sponsoring arts, cultural or heritage activities, which means if the business sponsored something on arts or cultural activity, dia boleh deduct lah as a business deductions. Halal certification, they send the staff ataupun the company itself involved in halal certification project, so they can deduct that from their income to reduce their income tax. Practical training, when they send the staff for training pun boleh tolak juga. So these are the deductions, boleh tolak, but it is not specifically mentioned in the Income Tax Act. So accountancy fee, advance and loan, advertising cost, bonus, ini semua boleh tolak. Travelling cost, income tax, trade and club subscriptions, clothing and tool, banyaklah, consumable aids, damages, defending capital asset sampai mana dia? Okay, sampai number 33 ya. So for entertainment expenses, we have public ruling number 4 ni. Contoh dekat sini, what I can share with you for entertainment expenses. Sekejap Entertainment expenses, public ruling. Alright, so these are the example of entertainment expense. So this is public ruling. So this also will also help you. Like I told you before, if you do not have the textbook, you go to Lembaga Hasil website. You browse dekat situ under legislation. So dia ada semua public ruling. Saya tak payah baca semua lah. The one that is related to our course je. Boleh baca Okay, so for instance here we have, ni semua saya skip dulu. Just the definition They even have examples in the public ruling. Okay, contohnya dekat sini, whether we want to know the principle determining the allowable entertainment expenses. Okay, for example here, dia tanya dekat sini, determine whether the expense falls within the definition of entertainment as provided under section 18. So Megah Jaya held an annual dinner for its employees and incurred a cost of 10,000. So 10,000 ni, according to the income tax, dia termasuk dalam entertainment expenses. So kita nak tahu juga bila kita kata dia entertainment expenses, and we also want to know whether the expense is wholly and exclusively incurred in the production of gross income. So kalau tak boleh tolak. So Wendy gave its customer a microwave oven as a wedding gift. Not allowed as deduction. Yang atas ni boleh because dia buat dinner untuk employees employees of the company. So this is allowable deductions. Tapi yang ni dia bagi oven to the customer as a wedding gift. Bukan sebab beli barang dia as a wedding gift. So dia ialah entertainment expense but not allowed because not wholly and exclusively incurred in the production of gross income. Okay. Yang ni pun ada. Right? Okay, ni restaurant to discuss to purchase a house. Okay, ni pemakan. Kita tengok ada lagi meals, dinner Right, so here dia bagi dinner dekat employee, but some of the suppliers are also present. So the cost of dinner is 25,000. So the purpose is to entertain the employees, which is deductible lah. And tapi in this case ada juga supplier. Baik, kita kata di sini incidental to the provision to entertainment of his employee. So the whole amount is allowable. That's why you have to read lah dalam ni dia mention which one yang boleh allowed to be deducted ataupun tak boleh. So kalau cultural, these are the example. Ini pun sports, these are the example. So nanti yang ni boleh baca lah. This one is already in your materials. So boleh check your my guru nanti. Because the example ni will help you understand better. That's why they provide us with the example. So dalam ni ada table. Kalau tadi tengok dekat atas mungkin nampak susah nak baca or understand. So you can read the table here. Because some of the deductions are actually deducted, allowed up to 50% only. Some are allowed 100%. So kalau potential customer, not allowed. Kalau potential belum jadi customer tak boleh. Kalau dah jadi customer boleh. Potential or existing customer during the launching of the company's new product, and then 100% deduction. Wedding gift to customer, tak boleh deduct. Entertainment to employees related company, tak boleh deduct. Annual general meeting of a company pun tak boleh deduct juga. So ada banyak lah. Annual dinner boleh. Mana tadi? Entertainment to supplier dapat boleh deduct tapi 50% je. Gift of flower for customers opening of new outlet boleh, but 50% je. So this will help you calculate nanti record ni tak ada apalah. Alright, so let's go back to our notes. Alright, in some cases, kalau tadi you can see from the table, some are 100% deductible, some are 50% deductible, but in certain cases we have double deductions, which means let's say the amount you spend is 1,000, but if the entertainment is allowed for, if the expenses is allowed for double deductions, 1,000 tadi you can have, you can deduct up to 2,000. So double 1,000 double jadi 2,000. So there are provisions under section, under the income tax act, under section 33 ni. Alright, so if it's given to specific expenses, for example, interest on loan to small business. So if the company encouraging small business to operate and they give loan, so the interest can be double deducted. Employment of disabled employees, this is also to promote or to encourage company to hire disabled employees. So if certain company they have disabled employees, the employment or the salary itu is double deducted. Can be double deducted. Let's say the salary of that employee for a year is 40,000. So in the tax computation tu dia boleh tolak up to 40,000. Training of handicapped person, dah lah dia hire disabled employee dan dia hantar pula pergi training pun sama, boleh dapat double deduction. Export credit insurance premium, freight charges from Sabah and Sarawak to Peninsula Malaysia. Okay, ini pun dapat double deduction. Right, example, let's say untuk, these are also incurred on certain activities. For example, promotion of export. Okay, if certain company ni dia ada product and the product ni dia aim at untuk export. And in exporting the product ni dia, kita kata dia promote lah, promotion of Malaysia. So the expenses yang dia spend tu for the promotion tu can be set off twice. So double jugalah. Available to manufacturing and agricultural companies producing promoted products or engaged in promoted activities. Okay, also available to the tourist industry in respect of costs incurred in the overseas promotion of Malaysia as a tourist destination. So if you're promoting Malaysia, if you're promoting certain manufacturing and agricultural products, so the company is able to set off twice lah, dia dapat double deduction. Employee training program. Okay, ini if the company send the employees to training to develop and upgrade skills. So pun sama juga, this is for manufacturing companies and companies engaged in the hotel and tourist industry. Dapat juga double deduction. So special. Disabled person, ini tadi saya kata tadi lah, all remuneration payable to physically or mentally disabled. Tak kisah disabled yang mana satu, can be deducted twice from taxable profit. And this is available to manufacturing companies. R&D pun sama jugalah. Kalau ada buat government approved research, contoh macam hari tu kan, buat research on vaksin apa semua. So government approved, then the profit ataupun the expenses can be deducted twice. So again, when we talk about deductions ni, we're talking about deduction that will help reduce the income, that will eventually reduce the income tax payable. So nak reduce the tax. Freight charges, okay. And brand promotion advertising. Ini pun satu lagi lah. Kalau ada export quality standard Malaysian owned product, hantar pergi overseas export, and then it is also subject to double tax deduction. So this is to promote Malaysia product. Batik lah semua tu. Termasuklah billboards on international or international airports or highways, but the company must be 70% Malaysian owned. Company owned by foreigners, tak boleh lah tak boleh enjoy this incentive. Alright, so before we go to the exercise ni, I want you to look at the business taxation example. The one that I share with you dekat my guru juga tu. I shared last week yang tu. Subang Elektronik. So this is how your exam question will look like for business taxation. So it's a bit different from personal tax lah. Okay, so here we have this company. So again, if you look at this financial statement, alright. So if you're familiar with accounting financial statement, I hope you do. Sebab you apa ada belajar tu accounting papers kan. You have business accounting and practices in financial accounting. So you should be familiar with this format. So this is the income statement or profit or loss account. Okay, so this is actually prepared based on accounting standard. Okay, bukan taxation punya rules, but based on accounting standard, whereby we have sales, we have cost of sales. So all these are actually according to accounting standard. We have to add other income and also minus all the expenses related to the business. Okay, but we must be careful with the expenses, because as we look at just now, for the business deductions, some are allowable but some are not allowable. Okay, that is why we have to do adjustment. So kita tak boleh ambil the net profit before tax ni, simply take this figure and multiply by 28%, tak boleh. We have to do adjustment, right? So how are we going to do the adjustment? So in this question, you are given the net profit before tax, which is 19,882, and also some notes. Okay, notes dia panjang, saya tak naklah baca semua ni. But when we have this type of notes, what we can do is that kita tengoklah satu-satu whether the expenses tu allowable ataupun tidak. Itu satu and whether the expenses is can be allowed 100% ataupun only 50% ataupun double deduction. So that is why I share with you I consider this as a complete example lah sebab dia memang panjang and ada a few we have actually a lot of adjustment to be made here based on this question. Okay. Alright, so here for example in the cost of sales, dalam cost of sale ni ada pula donation. So you must remember dalam accounting bolehlah you letak dekat sini but for taxation purposes donation tak boleh letak dekat sini kan. Donation dia ada tempat dia. So kita kena remove nanti. Warehouse was broken into, estimated 40,000 was stolen, ada insurance recovery Okay, ada income, dia pun ada other income which are rent, single tier dividend and also rental derived from property in Indonesia received in Singapore and credited to the bank account in Singapore. Okay, and also dividend. So kita tahu kalau dividend dapat from Malaysian public listed company during the period ni memang not taxable kan. So kita kena buat adjustment lah. And they also have, so these are the remuneration expenses. So entertainment allowance paid to the managing director and marketing manager. Ni kita kena tengok. Ni boleh tolak semua ke? Boleh tolak half je. And then contribution to an unapproved provident fund. Okay, tadi kita dah tengok kan, double pula. Business deduction tak boleh pergi ke unapproved fund, mesti approve. So ini dia dah tolak dalam income statement, but we have to add back lah sebab this one dia tak boleh tolak Salary is paid to employee certified as disabled. Okay, remember untuk disabled employees dia punya deduction double. So sekarang ni 48, kita boleh doublekan nanti. And expenses of 17,000 for recruiting employees. So ada juga professional fees, legal fee, non-trade, debt collection, accounting, auditing fee, secretarial fees, apa semua ni. Advertising, okay, dia kata owns Malaysian brand. So register as trademark. So kalau macam ni, tadi pun kita dah tengok double deduction juga. And also entertainment expenses. Tadi I've shown you the public rulings. So kalau bagi customer macam mana? Kalau buat staff, untuk staff macam mana? Promotional gift, okay? Whether it is 100% or 50% or tak boleh allowed langsung. Alright, interest, bad debts, lease charges, repair and maintenance, alright, installation okay, replacement okay, repainting okay, modification to administrative block to provide access for disabled employees. So modification of the block ni sama dengan renovation lah. So for rental income kita tahu renovation tak boleh kan, it's not deductible, but here dia lain sikit. Sebab apa? Dia renovate untuk the disabled employees. So untuk anything to do with disabled employees ni is actually deductible walaupun dia buat renovation. Foreign exchange loss, fine and penalty. Alright, remember kita kira fine and penalty tak boleh tolak So tapi dalam expense dia dah tolak fines and penalty. So we have to add back. Donations. Okay, donation pun ada banyak types of donation. Insurance payment, R&D, banyaklah, and also capital allowances. Alright, untuk capital allowance ni kita buat later So maybe for this one kita just ambil the figure je because I haven't introduced to you what is capital allowance And also capital expenditure which qualified for investment tax allowance of 230,000. Okay, this is how you should present your answer because when you have to compute the tax liability ataupun if the question asks you to compute adjusted income sekalipun, because this question dia panjang lah dia sampai calculation of tax liability. What you have to do is you have to start with net profit before tax and buat dua column macam ni. Satu untuk add, satu untuk deduct. Okay, yang add ni maksudnya apa? This is actually non-deductible sebab tu kena add balik. And untuk yang kita deduct ni, maksudnya ini tak kena tax pun lah sepatutnya not taxable ataupun maybe dia double deduction. So double deduction ataupun kita kata the half lah. So the adjustment would be deduction and also addition. So this is the adjustment that we have to make. Alright, let's look at the net profit before tax. We start with 19882. Jangan tanya pula soalan nombor ni datang daripada mana. It is actually from here je. You always start with net profit before tax because our objective is actually to calculate the tax for this company. So kita start dengan nombor ni. Tak payah tengok adjustment lagi. You just take this figure. Alright, and then kita tengoklah apa yang kita nak add, apa yang kita nak deduct. So we have to go through one by one. Satu, donation of electrical appliances. Dia adalah donation, so kita kena tambah balik dekat sini. Because now kita tengah nak cari income dia, income yang kena tax. So di donation ni dia tak boleh tolak dekat atas tadi, dia kena tolak dekat bawah. So kita tambah balik dekat sini. Theft of stock. Okay, barang dia kena curi So tak ada patutnya. Insurance recovery. So dia offset, so tak ada. Other income, rent from Indonesian property. Okay, ini masuk dekat bank account Singapore tapi dia masukkan juga dalam financial statement dia. Kita kena tolak balik lah. Tak boleh masuk sebab dia bukan derive from Malaysia. So tolak balik. Dividend. Dividend tadi dah masuk dalam income but dividend is not taxable, exempted kan. So kita tolak balik lah dividend tu. And also compensation on termination of contract ni tak ada recruitment expenses tak boleh. Tak ada adjustment. Okay, entertainment allowance to directors. Alright, kalau tengok the public ruling tadi untuk directors, untuk employee boleh tolak 100%. Now entertainment allowance untuk directors ataupun manager. Untuk directors ni boleh tolak 50% je. So 50% lagi tu not allowed. So if you look at the figure untuk entertainment for directors is 440,000. Dia dah tolak 440 which is sebenarnya dia tak boleh tolak semua, dia boleh tolak separuh je. That is why kita tambah balik 220. Dia dah betul lah tolak kat sana but not all not 440, only 220. So disallowed. Yang disallowed ni kita kena tambah balik. Unapproved fund contribution, tambah balik lah sebab dia unapproved kan yang dekat atas tadi. And also disabled employee salary. Okay, salary untuk employee tadi 48,000. Tapi dia double deduction kan. So kita tolak lagi 48 dekat sini. Walaupun dia dah tolak kat sana 48, kita tolak lagi dekat sini. That will eventually reduce the income tax sebab dia ada disabled employees. Alright, professional fees, no adjustment. Non-trade debt collection kena tambah balik sebab apa? Sebab dia non-trade. You must remember all the deductions mesti berkaitan dengan trade. Now the keyword here is non-trade. So non-trade you kena tambah balik lah. Accounting auditing fees tak ada adjustment, secretarial fees tak ada adjustment sebab boleh tolak. Feasibility study kena tambah balik sebab tak boleh tolak. Sebab dia feasibility study dia bukan untuk produk ke apa kan. Feasibility study dia for expansion of operation Indonesia. Dia bukan study untuk produk tapi study untuk expansion business. So tak boleh tolak lah, kena tambah balik. And also advertising on Malaysian branded goods. Okay, advertising tadi, mana advertising? Dalam soalan advertising ada 54,000. Alright, so 54,000, remember tadi dia adalah Malaysian product yang dia nak promote. So dia dapat double deduction, kita tolak balik 54 dekat sini. Tolak another 54. And you also have the notes column kat sebelah sini. So in case you wonder apa benda-benda ni, you can go to the notes untuk baca. Alright, interest on borrowing to finance investment. Okay, tambah balik. sebab this is taxable. Hampers for customer. Okay, hampers for customer dia bagi mana tadi? During festive occasion, alright, 4,000. Tapi hamper untuk customer, if you wonder kenapa, tengoklah balik public ruling tadi. 50% only, so 50% daripada 4,000, 2,000 tu kena tax. Staff lunches and refreshment macam staff dinner tadi lah, boleh so tak ada adjustment. Promotional gift pun boleh, because promotional gift dia gunakan company owned product, so not taxable. Disbursement of promotion team expenses. Okay, ini ialah entertainment expenses tapi untuk promotion team dia. So deductible up to 50% only. So lagi 50% kena tambah balik. Alright, doubtful debts. 60. Doubtful debt ni kita ambil yang write off lah. And lease rental ni the calculation is also here. So boleh tengok daripada table tadi tu lah. Lease rental ni for example, for this one, lease rental ni maksimum kita tolak 50 ni sebab maksimum dia 50,000. Nanti kita akan tengok masa kita buat capital allowance nanti. Why 50,000 je? And repair and maintenance. Alright, repair and maintenance. New alarm system. Installation of new alarm system. It is a capital expenditure. So kena add back. Replacement tak ada sebab dia repair. Repainting of factory pun repair juga. Modification ni. Okay, so modification for disabled employees pun tak kena juga. But if modification ni saja-saja buat, dia akan consider as capital lah, you kena add back. But now the modification tu dia buat untuk disabled employees dia. Alright, foreign exchange loss ni semua kena tambah balik. Not allowed. Fines and penalty, of course, kalau tadi dia dah tolak dalam the financial statement, but in income tax, all the fines and penalty ni is not deductible. That is the penalty, so we have to add back balik. Okay. Donation, dia bagi scholarship. Scholarship untuk training, double deduction. So 30, dia bagi scholarship tadi. Ini scholarship ni tadi. Scholarship. Okay, scholarship untuk student. 30,000. Okay, deduct balik because this one not taxable. Cultural show, tak kena tax juga. University library ni, donation to university library boleh donate tapi up to 100,000 only. The difference tu kena tax lah. So dia donate 115,000. So tolak 100 tinggal, so the remaining amount 15,000 yang kena tax. And also cash. Donation cash pun kena tax juga. Export credit insurance, double deduction 48. Ini semua tak kena. Fixtures and equipment untuk research and development kena jugalah, but for operating cost tak kena. Operating cost kena deduct lah. Operating cost deduct pun double. So boleh tengok tadi yang double deduction tadi. So these are the adjustment. So tambah jadi 20,981, but the deduction part is 999. So this is the adjusted income. Okay. Dan kita ada capital allowance tadi. That will give the statutory income, and ada investment tax allowance, tengok je dalam soalan tadi and also business loss brought forward. Okay, baru kita tambah balik dengan ada income. Single tier dividend, tak kena tax lah, rental pun exempt. Approved donation. So donation dekat atas tadi yang 100 ni, kita kena tambah balik dekat atas ni sebab kita nak tolak dekat bawah. Donation tolak dekat bawah. So the total income is, or chargeable income would be 19,507. This is year 2018. So the tax is 24%. So you have the notes here that you can read. This, I hope this will help you untuk buat soalan tutorial nanti. Memang panjang. It will, you will need the notes untuk help you answer the questions. Tapi ada certain parts yang memang kita belum cover lagi lah. Any questions so far? That's why I provide you the example together with solutions to show you how to calculate the adjusted income. Alright, if you don't have question, I want you to try to answer this exercise in your notes. Alright, what do you think is the answer for question 1? A, B, C or D? Which of the following is tax deductible?
A.
What is the answer? A, lagi? No, not A.
B.
The answer is C. Tax deductible. Domestic expenses, no. Entertainment in general tak, but apa yang kita tengok tadi tu is the specific deductions lah. So bad debt is tax deductible. Lease rental pun not all. So the answer is C. Number 2. Which section prohibited deduction ni?
C.
C, section 39. Section 33 apa?
Deductible and non-deductible expenses.
33 tu yang deductible, so 39 non-deductible. Okay, question 3. 3 and 4 panjang sikit. So for expenditure to qualify for deduction, number 1 must be related to the taxpayer's business. Betul tak yang tu? And number 2, it should not be of a personal nature. Number 3, cannot be pre-operation expenses. And number 4, expenditure cannot be incurred after the cessation of business. What do you think is the answer?
B.
D.
A. Dah semua. A, B. So number 1 is correct.
D.
The answer is C, 1, 2 and 4. Number 4. So you have 4 different types of entertainment, and the question is which of the following is not tax deductible? A deductible tak?
Tak.
Ya ke
Sebab
tak?
annual dinner. Ke D?
Because you have to, sekejap, ada satu. Not tax deductible, maksudnya tak boleh tolak tak boleh tolak in our calculation sebab tadi ada a few entertainment yang tak boleh tolak kan? So mana yang tak boleh tolak ni?
C. C.
A, B, C, D.
C. C.
Setuju C. Because A, annual dinner for staff is tax deductible tadi kita dah buat kan? Dinner, lunch untuk staff semua deductible. B, Jasmine Travel gives out souvenirs, bags and travel ticket to visitors at trade fair. This is also deductible sebab dia promotion tapi barang dia sendiri. Dia bukan bagi barang orang, dia bagi barang dia sendiri. So this is tax deductible. C, Aladdin after discussing his business proposal with his prospective client takes her and her assistant out for dinner at Genie restaurant. Boleh tak?
Deductible. Boleh.
Boleh tak yang ni?
Boleh
Tak
sebab
Ha.
boleh lah sebab business
Tak boleh.
D. D, ada free
D yang tak
sample
boleh sebab free samples.
of its new therapeutic candles. D sama macam B lah sebab dia bagi produk dia sendiri kan.
So C.
C yang tak boleh sebab this is
Tapi bukan dia business ke? Prof.
dia kata after not during. After,
After. Oh, okay.
after discuss baru dia bawa pergi makan. not during discussion.
Alright.
So that's basically for business deduction. Saya dah tengok the performa. Saya ingatkan kita tak payah buat in detail the capital allowance, tapi nampak macam ada. So I see what I can do, tapi saya takkan go through sampai ke industrial building semua tu, tak ada lah. Kita just tengok capital allowance sahaja. Alright. Mana notes dia? Because capital allowance is also part of business deductions, tapi the calculation dia lain sikit lah. Dia bukan, it is not straightforward just like apa yang kita tengok the business deduction tadi kan. Okay, so for capital allowance ni, what you have to know is that one is the concept of capital allowance ni. So the concept for capital allowance ni, so if you still remember the accounting that you studied before, so dia konsep dia sama dengan depreciation. Okay. Tapi dia only applicable to business lah and not for individual. Okay. And the purpose of capital allowance ni, alamak saya pause pula format ni. Alright, so this is basically the format apa yang kita akan prepare. Kalau macam tadi what you have seen so far, okay, kita ada section 4A tadi, business 1, business 2, if the orang ni dia ada 2 businesses Ini kalau satu person dia ada semua. Dia ada business, dia ada employment, dividend, interest, rental, royalties and others. So basically setakat hari ni kita dah cover section 4A sampai F tadi kita dah tengok satu type of business. So if let's say dia ada 2 business, kita kena kira macam tadilah sampai the last one, the last figure statutory income tu bawa ke sini. Baru nak kira tax dia. Tapi macam tadi kita buat, kita straight away calculate the tax sebab dia kita kira business income je. Dan kita dah masuklah dividend interest semua dekat atas tu, dekat dalam tu tadi. Okay, so tadi dia ada business and dividend and also interest. Rental tak ada tadi, employment tu tak ada, tadi business dia. So this is the format. Okay, tolak donation. Tadi tu tak ada business loss dapat total income. If it is an individual, kita tolak relief lah untuk dia dan chargeable income. Sampailah ke chargeable income. Alright, and bila dah sampai adjusted income, kalau ada balancing charge kita akan tambah, kalau ada balancing allowance kita akan tolak. Nanti kita tolak capital allowance juga. So today kita nak tengoklah the capital allowance ni apa Alright, saya divide into 2 parts sebab capital allowance ni panjang. Today pun tak boleh nak habis part 1 ni kot. Alright, so again like I told you before, the capital allowance ni only applicable to business activity and the concept is similar to depreciation, which means when the company acquire a fixed asset, dia ada long term asset ni is subject to wear and tear. So lagi lama pakai, the value will go down. So to give the incentive ataupun relief ni dalam bentuk capital allowance ni, so company can claim this to reduce their profit juga nanti. Maknanya lagi lama aset tu digunakan, lagi banyak the capital allowance that can be claimed. And the example of asset normally used in business are motor vehicles, machinery, office equipment, furniture. Ini aset-aset yang biasalah. In order to qualify, expenditure must be capital in nature and used for business purposes. Tak bolehlah ada kereta tapi guna untuk personal use tapi nak claim capital allowance, tak bolehlah. Okay. Conditions for claiming capital allowance are, okay, ada 4 conditions that must be fulfilled. Dia bukan salah satu, dia all 4. Operating a business, okay, satu kena ada business lah, baru boleh claim capital allowance. Number 2, purchase of business asset. Okay, asset tu dibeli, bukan dapat free. Asset are being used in the business, okay, and owner of the asset. Sometimes dia ada business, asset tu dia beli, tapi asset tu dia pergi guna dekat business lain, not that for a particular businesses, so tak boleh lah. And also he or she must be the owner of the asset. Okay, kalau you have a business, ada van contohnya, but van tu ayah bagi hadiah untuk buat business. So you cannot claim capital allowance. Unless bagi hadiah buat nama you lah. Then you can claim as the owner, baru boleh claim capital allowance. Okay. Okay, so the different types of capital allowance. So those of you yang dah pernah belajar capital allowance sebelum ni, this is revision for you. But those of you who just berkenalan dengan capital allowance ni, so we have 2 types of capital allowances. One is initial allowance, another one is annual allowance. So initial allowance ni namanya pun initial, dia diberi pada tahun aset tu dibeli. Annual allowance is given every year sampailah the value of the asset fully depreciated. Okay. And the initial allowance ni rate dia fixed je, 20% based on the original cost of the asset when the capital expenditure is incurred. Tapi annual allowance ni flat rate every year. Let's say untuk certain type of asset tu annual allowance 20%, kira lah sampai bila-bila pun 20%. Okay, and one thing about capital allowance ni, there is different with depreciation in accounting. So if you look at depreciation, sometimes same asset, different company, they use different percentage. Some company guna 10, some guna 20, so depends. But for income tax purposes, that's why you kena kira dua benda. So if you the tax agent, so kita kira bahagian tax lah. Tapi kalau you are the account staff yang buat accounting, you akan kira depreciation. So sampai dekat tax people, dia calculate balik the capital allowance ni. Because the rate yang given by the income tax ni is a flat rate. Okay. Okay, so these are the types of assets. Okay, this is the general ataupun the standard asset yang kita biasa jumpa lah. Heavy machinery and motor vehicle. So this is the standard rate dia. Initial allowance 20, annual allowance 20. Plant and machinery, beza Heavy machinery and plant and machinery, apa beza dia? Tengok dekat bawah ni. Initial allowance 20, annual allowance 14. IT and computer, initial allowance 20, annual allowance 40. So nampak tak untuk aset yang cepat, because teknologi benda involved with teknologi ni biasanya dia cepat berubah. That is why annual allowance dia tinggi compared to plant and machinery. Plant and machinery boleh pakai lama kan, that is why annual allowance 40% je. Others 20 and 10. Okay, what are heavy machinery? Yang besar-besar ni, bulldozer, crane, ditches, tractor, wagon, loader, sweeper, saya tak tahu benda ni. So all these are actually heavy machinery. Motor vehicles, motorcycle, aeroplane, ship semua masuk dalam motor vehicle. Plant and machinery is the general plant and machinery yang tak termasuk dalam kategori atas ni. And also office equipment, others tu, furniture, fitting, semua masuk kat dalam others ni lah. Okay, so the rate is fixed. Okay, but before we can calculate the capital allowance, first of all kita kena tahu dululah, they call it qualifying expenditure. Okay, expenditure that can be qualified that will help us calculate the capital allowance. Okay, so ada banyak dekat sini. Apa sih budak-budak ni? So I think for you, saya akan buat yang number 1 ni je. Plant and machinery je. Industrial building tak payahlah. Okay. So for plant and machinery, again kita dah tengok tadi the definition dia. Okay. General rules. Plant include among others an apparatus used for carrying on a business is plant. A mere part of the setting used for carrying on the business is not plant. For example, electric lamps and fitting and a ship used as a floating restaurant, itu bukan plant. Shelter to the business is not plant. So termasuklah canopy at the petrol station. So petrol station punya building tu is plant, tapi canopy dia tu bukan. So these are the general rules dia. So ada A, B, C, D, 4 points ataupun 4 factors yang kita kata the criteria that must be met in order for a company to claim for capital allowance. Number 1, must have been incurred in providing the plant and machinery. Dia mesti bayar lah, they incur the expenditure. The person incurring must be carrying on a business. Tak ada business, beli machinery, lepas tu nak claim capital allowance, tak boleh, mesti ada business. Person must be the owner of the asset at the end of the basis period. Okay, katakan beli sampai bulan 6, lepas tu jual. And for that year, you want to claim capital allowance. Pun tak boleh, because let's say the year end is December, tengah tahun dia guna, and that particular year nak claim capital allowance, tak boleh lah. And the machinery or plant must be in use for the purpose of the claimant's business. Guna untuk bisnes orang lain pun dia tak boleh claim. Alright, so we want to know when we talk about qualifying expenditure, kita nak tahulah apa yang termasuk dalam ni. So qualifying expenditure in other words is the cost of acquisition, harga kita beli plant and machinery tu. And sometimes harga yang kita beli tu ada installation. Kan, let's say beli mesin besar, nak pergi masuk kat dalam factory, tak boleh ambil mesin tu letak macam tu je. Adalah certain installation, plug-in nak kena buat. that is also the cost. So installation cost tu pun can be included as the cost of acquisition. So in accounting kita panggil cost of acquisition, in taxation dia disebut sebagai qualifying expenditure. Expenditure that is qualified to be claimed capital allowance. So here the installation pun can be considered as qualifying expenditure, tapi dia ada rules dia lah. If you look at the rules here, alteration will be treated as qualified expenditure subject to certain rules. Okay, what are the rules? 10% rule, paragraph 21B ni ada 10% rule. We call it 10% rule. 10% rule maksudnya, if there is a qualifying expenditure incurred on preparing, cutting, tunneling or leveling land or prepare a site for the installation of plant and machinery. Dia bukan setakat beli tapi dia ada installation, preparing the site. So harga dia ialah all this cost plus the installation. Tapi kalau installation cost tu exceed 10% of the aggregate cost of installation ni, so the expenditure ataupun the installation ni will not qualify as qualifying expenditure. Okay, kalau baca dengar ayat ni macam tak faham, kita tengok example kat sini. Alright, here contoh this company dia ada dua jenis assets. Printing machine, cost of machine 280, ada cost of alteration for the installation of the machine 33,600 and incidental cost of installation 2,004. Another asset is cutting machine. Capital expenditure 62,000, cost of preparation the site for installation is 8,000. Nampak tak? Dia in general semua cost ni kita boleh tambah sebagai cost of acquisition of the plant and machinery. Tapi subject to 10% rule. How to do it? Okay, let's look at the first one. Printing machine. Cost of machine tadi 280,000. Cost of alteration 33,600. Incidental cost of installation is 2,400. So qualifying expenditure yang kita nampak dekat sini, when we total everything together, 316. Okay, 316. So 10% rule ni, kita kira 316 ni times 10%, kita dapat 31,600. Kita nak compare dengan apa? Dengan installation cost dia. 2,400. Less or more than 31,600? Less kan? Okay, since it is less than 31,600, which is the 10% from this one, so kita boleh ambil total cost ni sebagai qualifying expenditure. Boleh faham tak? Boleh The next one, cutting machine. Okay. So untuk cutting machine ni, cost of machine 62,000, cost of installation 8,000. So aggregate cost dia 70,000. So remember the 10% rule, kita kena kira dulu. 10% from 70,000 is 7,000, which means installation ni cannot be more than 7,000. Sekarang installation dia berapa? Installation dia 8 kan? 8,000 which is more than 7,000. So the qualifying expenditure dia hanyalah 62. Tak boleh ambil 8 ni, tak boleh jadi 70. Unlike this one. This one kita boleh ambil semua. Because 2004 ni is less than 31,600. But this one cannot. This one sebab 10% dia ni more than this one. So QE dia, qualifying expenditure dia hanyalah 62,000. Boleh faham Boleh tak ni? Tak ada bunyi pun?
Faham.
Okay, alright. Okay. Alright, so kalau ikut dekat sini dia kata ada 3 lah but balancing allowance ni kita akan tengok later, so ignore the C tax ni. This is based on the textbook that you don't have. Alright, so the first one is initial allowance. So for initial allowance ni, when the person first acquired plant for business use, 20% flat rate. Given a full year, no time apportionment is required. Let's say the business end in December, tapi dia beli barang tu in June. Kita tak perlu buat proportionment of time. Kita just terus ambil 20% darab dengan whatever cost that they incurred sahaja. Eligibility, okay, go back to the 4 criteria tadi tu, mesti incur the business, incur the expenditure, asset mesti used for business. The person must be the owner of the asset at the end of receipt period. Annual allowance, okay, tadi initial masa dia mula-mula beli, annual allowance is every year. As long as the asset is in use at the end of the basis period. Okay, capital allowance ni kalau asset tu tak guna pun tak boleh claim. Rate varies according to industries and type of asset and computed on a straight line basis by referring to the full amount of qualifying expenditure. So eligibility dia sama juga macam tadi. Okay, I give you one example. So can you decide who can claim capital allowance for the year? Krishnan or Chandra?
Chandra Prof.
Chandra or Krishnan? What do you think?
Krishna. Sebab dia
Krishnan lah.
Chandra.
Lagi? Chandra or Krishnan? Ada jawab Chandra, ada jawab Krishnan.
Chandra sebab dia responsible for the maintenance of the van.
Okay. Yang jawab Krishnan tadi, why? Dua-dua salah No one can claim capital allowance. Chandra tak boleh, Krishnan pun tak boleh. Cuba tengok betul-betul cerita dia. Sekarang ni, Krishnan operate a restaurant, betul? So in order to expand his business, he needs a van. Tapi dia tak ada duit nak beli van. Jadi abang dia, Chandra, bagi dia van tu. Chandra runs a profitable grocery business and Krishnan has asked Chandra to buy him a van. So Chandra will pay for the van in cash and be responsible for the maintenance of the van. The van will be registered in Krishnan's name and will be used in Krishnan's restaurant business. The van will not be used in Chandra's grocery store business. Confused tak? Krishnan nak pakai van, abang dia belikan, abang dia letak nama dia. Okay? Tapi abang dia yang bayar dan maintain van nama Krishnan dan guna untuk Krishnan business. Tapi van tu tak guna untuk Chandra grocery business. Alright, you have to go back to the 4 criteria tu Satu, expenditure must be incurred. Okay? Nampak Krishna sekarang nama dia kan? Betul tak? Van will be registered in Krishna name, dia guna untuk business dia. Tapi dia incur expenditure tak? Dia bayar apa-apa tak?
Tak, dia tak bayar apa-apa.
Dia tak bayar apa-apa So kalau tadi the first criteria dia mesti incur the expenditure untuk beli van ni. Sekarang dia tak incur apa-apa. Walaupun dia guna business, dia tak ada incur any qualifying expenditure. Walaupun dia legal owner, dia guna untuk business tapi dia tak ada incur apa-apa. So dia tak boleh claim. Chandra pula. Chandra yang beli. Dia yang maintain. Okay. Tapi dia guna tak van tu untuk business dia?
Dia tak guna.
Dia tak guna untuk grocery store dia kan? Tapi adik dia yang guna. Pun dia tak boleh claim sebab syaratnya memang dia incur expenditure betul. Tapi nama bukan nama dia. Patutnya dia lah owner kan? Sekarang dia incur expenditure tapi dia bukan owner. Kalau dia bukan nama dia, dia tak guna pula untuk business dia. So dua-dua tak boleh claim. Kita always go back to this tadi. Ini tadi the 4 criteria tu Okay, here. Alright, so boleh Dua-dua tak boleh claim ni. Rugilah. So dia mesti, it must be, kalau nama dia guna untuk business dia, ataupun nama dia mesti incur expenditure untuk asset tu. Alright, next one is, okay, this is the plant and machinery rates. So capital allowance are computed on a straight line method on the basis of prescribed rate. So heavy machinery tadi kita dah tengok lah 20, 14 and also 10. Right. I have one example. Alamak, saya lupa lah nak upload example ni. Tak apalah. I show you dulu. Allowance one. Alright, this one. So we have here Sedap Makan Sendirian Berhad is the manufacturer of instant noodles. So the company closed its first set of account on 31st December 2012. So dia ada office equipment, telephone system and also office safe. Nampak tak dia acquire satu in April, satu in October, year end dia December. So a full year capital allowance will be computed and notwithstanding the ownership period is less than a year. Okay. So untuk capital allowance dia tak kira bulan. Beli je tahun tu memang terus dapat. So initial allowance 20%, annual allowance 10%. Tengok table tadi balik lah. For office equipment, others tadi kan. So for the qualifying expenditure, total je sebab dua-dua ni dalam kategori yang sama. Others to office equipment 100. So untuk the first year dia beli 2012. Initial allowance 20% from 100 and annual allowance 10% from 100. So that will give us 30,000 for the first year. So 100,000 minus 30, baki dia is 70,000. So this is residual expenditure kita panggil. Alright, so untuk 2013 nampak tak, dia hanya claim annual allowance sahaja sampailah habis. 2013 10, 14 10, 15 10, 16. If you want to do it yearly basis kan, so 70 minus 10 dapat 60, 60 minus 10 dapat 50. So sampailah habis So kalau macam ni dia akan habis in year 2019. So 70 minus 70 habislah. Okay, this is just to show you macam mana kita nak kira which is the annual allowance ni kita compute based on a straight line basis. So 10% bukan 10% on baki 10% ni nampak tak, dia kat atas sudah 10 sampai habis dia akan jadi 10. Jangan kira pula oh ini 10% daripada 100 10. Datang dekat 2013 10% daripada baki. 10% daripada baki no. Dia bukan reducing balance dia baki dari 10% dari cost dia yang mula-mula ni. Right? Alright, next one. So simple je kan I show you the simple example je untuk yang ni. So I will upload the example later dekat my guru, lupa lah tadi. And in some cases kita ada what they call accelerated capital allowance. So this one you boleh baca lah. Ada certain types of project ni dia bagi accelerated capital allowance So ini all this incentive lah under the investment allowance, under the investment incentive Sekejap ni pun boleh baca je. Tak ada apa. Alright. Next one is motor vehicle. So motor vehicle ni qualifying expenditure untuk motor vehicles not licensed for commercial use, which means dia untuk personal use. So qualifying expenditure for personal use ni not restricted to 50,000. Tapi kalau not licensed for commercial use, tapi the vehicle is new and the total cost when new is does not exceed 150,000, the qualifying expenditure is restricted to 100,000. Okay, so these are the example of motor vehicle. Kita guys ni example ada tak? Okay. So we have one example here. Company purchased a new car costing 120,000 to be used in the business and also to be used by the director in year 2018. So nampak dia kata new car costing 120. If we look at this syarat kereta baru cost dia less than 150. So qualifying expenditure dia restricted to 100,000. Nampak tak? Kita tak boleh ambil harga 120 ni walaupun harga dia 120 because of this restriction. Okay, 100,000. So kita calculate macam biasa jugalah. 10% from 100,000, 20 annual allowance, 20% daripada 100,000, 20 so residual expenditure. Untuk 2018, 60,000. For year 2019, kita ada annual allowance sahaja. Again, annual allowance 20% multiply by the qualifying expenditure, not with the balance. Saya ingatkan ni bukan apa because I have experience banyak sangat. When they calculate the annual allowance, they calculate from here. Salah you just ambil whatever amount kat atas ni je bawa untuk every year sampailah habis. But here the question only ask for 2018 and 2019 hire purchase ni should we do hire purchase ke tak payah? Current manufacturing ada hire purchase tak? Bukan apa I'm feeling I have a feeling that I can skip certain parts because we still have to focus on other things such as partnership, trust, settlements, estates rather than everything, all the focus go to business taxation. Sebab kita ada benda lain lagi. But if you're learning only taxation, then you have to focus everything dekat business tax ni lah. Okay, balancing allowance. This one hire purchase ni saya simpan dulu if later ada soalan yang sesuai, then I will discuss with you. Okay, this one about residual expenditure. Tadi kita dah buat lah So every year the balance tu, untuk every year bila kita ada qualifying expenditure, kita tolak dengan initial allowance and annual allowance, kita ada balance. Balance tu we call it as residual expenditure. Okay, same example tadi lah. Kita ada 70,000 tadi And next one is the balancing allowance and balancing charge. Ini hanya akan ada bila asset is disposed, discarded or destroyed. Okay, kalau asset tu kita guna macam biasa, every year you will not have balancing allowance or balancing charge. Okay, hanya bila dijual je akan ada balancing allowance and balancing charge. Okay, what is balancing charge? Ni kalau in accounting ni kita kata gain on disposal ataupun loss on disposal lah. So when you have asset and you sell, sometimes you get a gain and sometimes you get a loss. So here dalam income tax saja nak bagi susah sikit, dia tak nak guna gain or loss on disposal, dia guna balancing charge dengan balancing allowance. So in case you sell, sales price exceed residual value, this is gain lah. Kan you jual, baki is lower than your selling price, so you get a balancing charge. Balancing allowance, you jual harga lagi murah dari residual value. Let's say baki is 5,000, you jual pada harga 2,000. So rugi 3,000 kan. Rugi tu we call it as balancing allowance. Tapi kalau harga 5,000, you sell it for 7,000, untung 2,000, untung tu kita sebut sebagai balancing charge. Alright, so for example, residual expenditure. So again, residual expenditure ni is the baki, qualifying expenditure. Tolak dengan initial allowance and annual allowance, dapat satu amount, itu ialah residual expenditure. Now, when we want to dispose or discard certain assets, we need to know what is the residual expenditure and also sales proceed. Katakanlah baki dia 10,000, jual pada harga 9,000. Rugi kan? So rugi, kita ada balancing allowance. Or harga dia 10,000, baki dia 10,000, jual pada harga 18,000. Okay, dapat balancing charge of 8,000. Tapi if you have a balancing charge, you must remember balancing charge ni is restricted to actual allowance given. Dalam soalan ni, you don't have the actual allowance. Saya tak ada bagi soalan yang ada actual allowance. But if you already have actual allowance, maksudnya ada initial allowance and capital allowance and annual allowance sebelum ni, let's say 7,000. Kan? Kita dah tolak. Logiknya is that you already deduct a relief of 7,000 as a capital allowance to reduce your income tax. Lepas tu tiba-tiba you jual aset tu, you untung pula 8,000. So you cannot deduct 8,000. Kena deduct 7 je. Sebab tadi kita dah tolak capital allowance as 7. So dia restricted. So income tax ni dia banyak benda yang dia restricted. You tak boleh go beyond certain amount. Sekejap saya tengok ada contoh tak balancing charge. For it to... Let's see apa yang ada kat sini. Oh, panjang pula soalan ni. Tak apalah, I'll share with you the example later. But if there is a restriction, balancing charge dia mestilah restricted dekat whatever yang capital allowance claim. So tak boleh lebih lah. This one apa, there's no restriction. This one nanti saya akan share the example lah. I think I have the example here. Tapi cari tak jumpa lah. Alright, any question tak? For capital allowance, part 1. Part 2, I think for part 2 kita tengok next week sebab saya tak rasa ada banyak sangat for part 2 ni. Let me check. Capital allowance punya note pun saya lupa nak letak. I'm so sorry. Belum puasa ni banyak benda yang lupa. Sekejap dah hang pula. Oh. Part 2 is the building. Kita tak payah buat building lah. I don't think there will be part 2 lah for you. Saya pun tak perasan. This is about industrial building. Industrial building tak payah buat lah. So for next week, maybe I will give you soalan on capital allowance and then kita proceed dengan partnership je. Apa-apa nanti saya update dekat WhatsApp group. Sebab untuk capital allowance ni saya lupa nak letak the notes. So I will update the notes and upload for you. Ada soalan tak? If you have no question, by now soalan your quiz belum available lagi. Saya set pukul 10 rasanya. Lagi 10 minutes. Alright, so if you have no question, I think that's all for today. Saya pun tak ada soalan for capital allowance ni but I will share with you maybe next week lah. Ataupun because I have scheduled for you dah ada 3 tasks for you your quiz later at 10 and also your personal relief and business taxation tutorial to be submitted tomorrow. So cukup lah dah bagi kerja tu. So for next week kita cerita lain pula. Alright? So ada pun dah tak nak keluar ni. Alright, so if you have no question, I think that's all for today from me. Thank you very much. Take care everybody.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof. Take care.
Okay, Prof.
Jangan lupa quiz pukul 10. Jangan tidur.
Okay, doktor.
Okay, dah.
10 sampai berapa, Doktor?
12 je. Mati pecah je. Tembak je. Alright, thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Doktor.
Right.
Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Prof.